Hey everyone, we're back here again for another closer look at some more Avon publishing material from the 50s. You need to watch my other videos, especially the last one where I opened all this up and I go over a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm just going to give everyone a nice close look at some of this artwork. So of course what we're looking at here is 50s Avon Comics artwork. There's original hand-drawn artwork, there's a whole bunch of printer's proofs, there's reverse negatives, there's edited cover art, there's unpublished cover art. There's some really crazy stuff. Like just like my last episode where I had the delivery of the horror and sci-fi comics, but those are the most awesome. Those are my favorite horror and sci-fi. So I went over all that, and I had some parts in that also belonged with parts of this. So that's why I had to pick this up. I had to keep these pieces together, and preserve that history. So anyway, go take a closer look at this. So remember, of course, this Avon Comics. They went out of business in like 1956. Most publishers did around like 1955, 56. After the Comics Code came in, all the publishers went out of business. And then in 1958 along came IW Super Comics, and they bought up Publishers Warehouse or different warehouses that were storing the defunct publishers' printing materials, and they just bought all the materials to make the comics. They had no rights to reprint any of the stories, but they just reprinted all the comics anyway because they had all the printing plates and all the matrices and all the silver prints and all the printer's proofs and the original art. And so that's what all this stuff is. This is the stuff that's from IW Super that they had got that belonged originally to Avon Comics. And there's some IW Super stuff from 1958 also here, and we're going to take a closer look at it. All right, get behind the camera. Here we go, Escape from Devil's Island. So my last package, the horror sci-fi package, had the skull here, Everett Raymond Kinsler art. It's a fantastic looking half face, half skull. So that's off the cover here, Escape from Devil's Island. Now when this was reprinted in 1958, they did not use the face, but they changed the text. So actually the text that I have is not the original Avon. It is the IW Super text. You see how the letters don't line up, and from is lowercase. And the original from is uppercase, all the letters line up. So this is the 1958 IW Super. They redid the lettering. This is all hand done. You can see when you look real close, you can still see pencil that wasn't inked around the letters. That square of glue, that's of course from the face. The back of this has glue on it, so it was touching this when it was wet back in 1958, probably last time this was seen. There's printer's proofs of the lettering. You can see IW Super changed the comic, so there's no more blood on the men being whipped there. The lines are just black. The one convict has a club instead of a knife. And for some reason, they changed the lettering to be really small, and they retitled it Dynamic Adventures number 9. Moving on, so we got White Princess of the Jungle artwork here. So this is really awesome. So here's White Princess of the Jungle number 1. You see the ape. You see there's a guy in the background. It looks like he's got like a claw-shaped hand. Of course, this is a printout. It's not perfectly clear. And you can see here's a printer's proof. White Princess of the Jungle. Everett Raymond Kinsler. But then there's also this other printer's proof that came. And as you can see, that's not a guy in a hat in the background. So the original artwork that was almost published, because they had a printer's proof made, so it was about to be printed and published. Then they decided that they did not want to have that second ape there, and they changed it to a guy in a hat. So that's real cool. Nobody's probably ever seen that before, unless someone has the original art. It would have a paste over, so that guy would be there on top of this, so you'd have to remove that to ever see this artwork here. And you can see he moved his name. His signature was at the bottom down here, Everett Raymond Kinsler. Then they moved his name to the top left because they put the text box there. Moving on, so here is number 2. So I had this already. You see that there's a cutout for the guy's head riding the elephant. I had that from the horror lot. And then here is the reverse negative from this lot. And you can see what they did is that's the original Avon, and the original Avon artwork in that. They took the cover art and they changed her to a guy. And they reprinted it 1958 as Kayenga, Jungle King, which is probably what was inside. But they used this cover art and just modified. They did that with a bunch of books. You can see here is number 3. So from my last package, also the horror lot, came this lettering. And those are the stories that are inside here. So that's the lettering that was used for that there. Number 4. So they had taken this White Princess of the Jungle, and that's the original Avon, and then in 1958 IW Super, they retitled it Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. Sheena battles Terror of the Jungle, and they changed her from being a redhead, which she was known for in that comic, her fiery red hair, and they made her a brunette, and they changed her into, she's now Sheena. And inside it would have been a Sheena, Queen of the Jungle story. So there's the printer's proof that came with it. And you can see there's little lines and there's stuff circled here and there. It looks like there was notes for the colorist, probably on the left side there. Well, that's production notes that were on something else that was cut off. And then what had already shown up before is, of course, with the horror lot, Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, the original hand-drawn artwork for the lettering. So that would be the lettering that they placed over top of White Princess of the Jungle here. And they would have made that Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. Next is number 5, and I got the printer's proof here for number 5. Now IW Super also reprinted this. They made changes, of course, because you can see her diving there. When they reprinted it, they changed it to Wombi the Jungle Boy, and they put a boy's head on a woman's body. So it looks like they made a larger bra to cover the cleavage of her breasts, and they did a paste over with the face of Wombi the Jungle Boy, who it would be the story inside. And his face is on a woman's body. Then we get the Boy Detective. So there was 4 published. Boy Detective number 1. You can see here's a couple stories. There's a first page Boy Detective, and that's, I think, page 15. And there's a Statue of Liberty story. And from these text bubbles and the top of the statue there, you know that this is from page 1 of number 1. It even says number 1, page 1 at the top. The text matches, and there's the other header with the Statue of Liberty poking through. So then there was Boy Detective number 2, and Boy Detective number 3. So there was other printer's proofs, but they were mixed up into other lots. So there is Boy Detective printer proofs in other lots, not just this one. But there's number 3. Then we move up here, and here is the printer's proof reverse negative for number 3. And then they published a number 4. And number 4 was the final issue published of Boy Detective. However, here we have Boy Detective number 5, unpublished artwork. So this, see by the signature, E.R. Kinsler, Everett Raymond Kinsler. Usually uses his full name, not just initials. That's different. And going into a safe. Police, there's a prison. And this is just a printed out copy of it flipped so you can see it a bit better, what it was supposed to look like. And that's what arrived in this package. It's really cool stuff. I like this monster cover. So yeah, anyway, hope you liked the show, and stick around. Part 3 is coming up next. That's right, there's a third installment to this. I'm getting a third package of Avon publishing material from the 50s. It's on its way here right now, and once it gets here, I'll be opening that up and taking a look at that, and there's some really awesome stuff in that as well. Till next time, cheers.